Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Lekon Onobanjo. The top stories at this hour. Presidency says reports did not indict President Tinubu as U.S. court orders release of findings. Christians reenact Christ's triumphal entry as they celebrate Palm Sunday. Junta chief wins presidency provisional results. Details to come your way shortly. We begin the news from the United States, where a district court of Colombia ordered top U.S. law enforcement agencies to release confidential information generated on President Bola Tinubu during a purported federal investigation in the 90s. The judge, Beryl Howell, who gave the order, noted that protecting the information from public disclosure is neither logical nor plausible. An American, Aaron Greenspan, had filed a suit in June 2023 under the Freedom of Information Act against the Executive Office for U.S. Attorneys, Department of State, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Internal Revenue Service, Drug Enforcement Administration, and the Central Intelligence Agency. Greenspan accused the law enforcement agencies of violating the FOIA by failing to release within the statutory time documents relating to purported federal investigations into President Tinubu and one Abiodun Agbele. Aaron Greenspan had filed 12 FOIA requests to 6 different U.S. government agencies between 2022 and 2023, seeking information about a joint investigation conducted by the FBI, IRS, DEA, and the U.S. Attorney's offices for the Northern District of Indiana and Northern District of Illinois. Unfortunately, his requests received what he called gloomy responses, refusing to confirm or deny whether the requested records exist. Meanwhile, the presidency has clarified that the findings in the non-exempt files linked to past investigations involving President Bola Tinubu in the United States did not indict the Nigerian leader. Responding to media inquiries on Sunday, Tinubu's special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Ononuga, said the reports in question have been in public for over 30 years and did not indict the Nigerian leader. This came after a court ruling directing the two agencies to release non-exempt files linked to past investigations involving Tinubu. He added that the presidency's lawyers are currently examining the rule. For more on this, I'm joined by Paul Ibe. Now, Paul is the spokesperson for former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Good evening.
All right, so how does this come to you, given that your principal was among those that actually drew attention of Nigerians to the alleged complicity of the president on drug-related charges in the United States?
Well, thank you. The reality is that the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is a very serious office. Nigeria is the black nation's most populous, country, and it's expected that whoever it is that presides over the affairs, of Nigeria must be somebody of impeccable character. Back in 1999, the late Gani Fayemi had started a process based on allegations that Tinubu had a questionable character, both in his educational records, the schools that he claimed to have attended, and all of that, and even the issue of the drug, trafficking, the forfeiture of $460,000. So the late Gani Fayemi had started that process when Tinubu was the governor of Lagos State. Unfortunately, because he enjoys immunity, they were unable to proceed. What Atiku Abubakar was trying to do in 2023 was to ensure that Nigerians had the opportunity to evaluate, who will be ruling them. And, if Tinubu had acceded to, the outcry of Nigerians, we would not be in this mess. where Nigeria is in the eye of the storm on account that the man who presides over our affairs is allegedly linked to drug trafficking and also has educational records that appear to have been allegedly forged. And so that's very concerning. And perhaps following the failure of that discovery, the US, and this appears to be an independent efforts to ensure that Nigerians have the benefit to know what exactly is in those records that Tinubu had tried very hard to ensure that are not made public. So if the presidency said that there's nothing in it, the question is, why have they all this while, spent so much resources, on time trying to ensure that Nigerians do not have the benefit of what, is inside those, those records.
Mm. Well, Nasir El-Rufai at some point came out to say that those within the confines of politics within the party, the ruling party, knew about those records, but yet they still went on to support his emergence as the president. Do you think there would be any sort of consequence looking at this particular story come out and the details about the president?
Well, like I said, it's very concerning. Like I also said, if there is nothing in those records, they will not spend the time and the resources they have spent trying to ensure that you and I do not have the benefits, of those records. I mean, the issue of the integrity of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has come into question. And I wonder how, the president carries on, with other presidents from other nations, whenever he makes, appearances, overseas, because everybody knows exactly what, happened, with his records as it relates to drug trafficking. I mean, those are well documented. He was investigated by the FBI, and money was, he forfeited money, $460,000. A man who did not commit a crime would not forfeit amount of that magnitude way back, when this, happened. And that has also been established that the schools that he claimed to have attended, the government college in Ibadan, he never saw the four walls of that college in Ibadan. And he has a knack for government colleges, also government college in Lagos. He purportedly attended government college in Lagos even before the school, was established. So these are all that, these are, based on affidavits that he has sworn as far back as in 1999. And those records are still alive. So the issue of integrity, is there. And if he still has any modicum of, of it, the natural thing that he will do, is to resign. And I mean, men and women of goodwill, Nigerians, should also, prevail on him to do the needful. Otherwise, the presidency of Nigeria will continue to suffer, moral deficit, moral deficiency. We don't need that because it's an anathema to foreign investment. No investor will bring his money, into a country where, I mean, everybody knows that the president, has a questionable character. I mean, he's linked to drug trafficking. He has forfeited money. He never attended schools that he claimed
Paul,
to have attended. Yes.
So just to wrap things up, now if the record is eventually, made public, can there be a legal case being instituted against the president, peradventure refuses to resign, whether or not this particular detail indicts him expressly?
There will be consequences. I mean, what would they expect? If the records are able to establish beyond reasonable doubt that the president was involved in drug trafficking, our constitution does not support, the president of our country, being a drug, trafficker, and then, at the same time, benefiting from being the president. And then also about CSU, because CSU is very, is very key in all of this. The Chicago State University that he claimed to have attended. Of course, at some point in time, he also claimed to have attended the Chicago University, which is different from Chicago State University. So if he never attended, that particular school, if he never, graduated from the school, if there were forged documents that were used in getting, admission into that school, that invalidates whatever it is, the certificate that he has, from that, particular school. I mean, we have two issues here: drug trafficking and then forgery. I mean, what would you expect? Is that the president, is the character of the president that we want, to continue to preside over our affairs? I mean, to be up to him to do the needful, which is, like I said earlier, is to resign from office.
All right, thank you so much, Paul Ibe, for sharing your thoughts with us on the news.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
All right. In another development, the presidency has disowned billboards and other campaign materials promoting Presidents Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima for 2027 presidential election. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, the presidency said it observed with dismay the increasing number of such billboards in Abuja and Kano. The presidency argued that such premature campaigning can undermine the integrity of the electoral process and create unfair advantages. Ononuga cautioned that until the Independent National Electoral Commission sets the timetable for the 2027 elections, the president has not endorsed or authorized anyone or any group to mount a 2027 campaign for him through any media channel. Away from the presidency, today marks the beginning of the Holy Week in Christendom with the celebration of Palm Sunday. Christian faithful in Nigeria joined their counterparts around the world to mark Palm Sunday. Now extending warm greetings to all the faithful and people of goodwill across the nation on Palm Sunday, the Christian Association of Nigeria called for peace and unity in the country. The umbrella body for Christians in Nigeria invites citizens to reflect deeply on the life and mission of Jesus Christ, whose message of peace, humility, and sacrificial love remains as urgent today as it was over 2,000 years ago. This was contained in a statement released by the Christian body on Sunday and signed by its president, Archbishop Daniel Oko. CAN also strongly condemned the recent wave of brutal killings in Plateau State, particularly the April 4, 2025 attacks that claimed dozens of innocent lives in Bokos and Mangu local government areas. It added that the acts of violence represent not only a gross violation of human dignity and the sanctity of life, but also a serious threat to the nation, its unity and peace. We'll now take you to the capital of Nigeria, Abuja, where Christian faithful joined their counterparts across the globe to mark Palm Sunday, which signals the commencement of the Holy Week in the Christian calendar. At the Celestial Church of Christ Central Cathedral, worshippers gathered in celebration, singing joyful hymns and participating in a symbolic procession holding palm fronds, reenacting Jesus Christ's triumphant entry into Jerusalem. The atmosphere was one of reverence and festivity as families, children, and elders came together to reflect on the significance of the season. Church leaders urged believers to embrace humility, peace, and sacrifice as they prepare for Good Friday and Easter Sunday. Palm Sunday holds deep meaning for Christians, symbolizing both celebration and the beginning of Christ's journey to the cross. Well, staying on Palm Sunday celebration, the Catholic Bishop of Umuahia Diocese, Most Reverend Michael Upong, is encouraging Christians to borrow a leaf from the life of Christ, who willingly marched into his own death. He says the palm is also a reminder of the greatness of Christ, which symbolizes sacredness. Some faithful also spoke about the day.
Beginning of the journey for our redemption, Christ started the mission for which he came to the world today. He was conscious that going to Jerusalem, he was going to be arrested, He's going to suffer, to die, and then to resurrect. So he went there consciously. So it's important for us that we do not always run away from difficulties, run away from suffering. At times the suffering is for our own good, if not our own good, for the future generation. So we have to make that sacrifice. So we should learn from Jesus that
in Asaba, Delta State, capital of south of Nigeria, Christians attended church services and we've actually palm branches and we're blessed. And of course, it symbolizes the branches waved by the crowd to greet Jesus. New Central correspondent Austin Azu, who joined the Christian procession, now reports.
Christian faithful are on the streets of Asaba and major roads demonstrating the entrance of Jesus into Jerusalem, carrying palm fronds, waving it and singing Hosanna in the highest, depicting the entrance of Jesus into Jerusalem. And what does this symbolize to Nigeria Christians and Christians all over the world, including Nigeria leaders?
For we Christians, it's a day of rejoicing. It's a day that Jesus triumphed over evil. It symbolizes Jesus' triumph over sin and death, even right now in our lives.
Our message today is on emulating the humility and simplicity of Christ. Though he is God, but he never arrogates power to himself. He humbly took the form of a servant and made it clear to us that no matter what or whoever we are, we should humbly identify with the humility of Christ and live for him.
Because Jesus Christ has this as a symbol of his supremacy, the symbol of his being the king of the world after his resurrection, we too who are Christians must also know that this is a mark that we will not end in life, in the death. We're also going to rise with him and continue.
As much as possible, be practical Christians so that we can together conquer the reigns of the evil ones. Now, Jesus Christ has been recognized as the King of Kings, the Savior of the world. And a day like this, over 2,000 years ago, he was welcomed into Jerusalem.
The Palm Sunday begins the Holy Week, the betrayal of Jesus, the trial, the crucifixion, and resurrection from the dead on Easter Sunday. In Asaba, for New Central, Austin Azu.
Let's now go on a short break on the news. When we return, coalition urges probe into misconduct allegations against the Nigerian army by a retired major in Katsina State. We'll tell you more in a bit, to stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us as we now take you through judicial matters. Judges of the Federal High Court in Nigeria will commence their two-week Easter vacation on Wednesday, April 16, 2025. The break, announced by Chief Judge Justice John Tehemba Soho, will end on Monday, April 28, with full judicial activities resuming Tuesday, April 29. According to the court's Director of Information, Dr. Catherine Obi Christopher, only urgent matters will be heard during the holiday in the Abuja, Lagos, and Port Harcourt divisions. These include cases related to fundamental rights, maritime arrests, and issues of national importance. Designated vacation judges have been named for each division, with instructions to refer critical matters to the Chief Judge. Justice Toho extended Easter greetings to all judges and court staff. Away from that, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has arrested a Malaysian returnee and ex-convict, Ndubuisi Udatu, for smuggling methamphetamine concealed in giant speakers. The 41-year-old suspect was caught on April 7 at an NDLEA checkpoint near Yola, Adamawa State, with 2.7 kilograms of meth and 22,300 naira in cash. Udatu admitted returning to Nigeria to resume drug trafficking after serving time in Malaysia. In a separate operation, NDLEA and Customs officers intercepted 395 kilograms of opioids at the Nigeria-Cameroon border. Additional arrests were made in Kano, Abuja, and Niger State, where large quantities of tramadol and cannabis were seized. NDLEA says these seizures reflect its ongoing crackdown on drug trafficking networks nationwide. Now, the call for restructuring Nigeria's political and governance systems is once again gaining momentum, with prominent leaders, civil society groups, and political analysts urging the government to adopt a more sustainable and inclusive approach to national development. At the heart of the restructuring debate is the belief that Nigeria's current federal system has become overly centralized, hindering regional autonomy, stifling economic growth, and deepening ethnic tensions. News Central's Israel Eferobo completes the report.
The need to restructure Nigeria is an old debate that has been on the front burner for a very long time, with many for and against it. The issue, many say, is at the foundation of the country's lack of all-round development in all regions of the country. From infrastructure, health, education, the grievances are the same. Many believe restructuring is the answer.
Each state, each department should develop according to their own pace, using their own resources, and then sharing a few common resources. And I believe that that really is the basis on which Nigeria was founded. That basis cannot be eroded. That basis must be gone back to, and that basis must be pushed forward. That is why we came together and agreed to come together as a nation.
Each person has independence to enter his own apartment when he wants. Nigeria is like an open dormitory.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo says that restructuring should not be misconstrued as a threat to national unity.
I think the first thing we must understand is this: restructuring is not refusing to talk to ourselves. How can we continue the way we are, where the only thing that ever gets done is that the rulers are kept in style and the ruled are continually ruined? The people who are afraid of restructuring are simply people who are afraid to work hard and who are afraid to think and who are afraid to generate resource. Singapore has no resource. It's one of the greatest economies of the world because the greatest resource is the resource of the mind.
Civil society leaders say the issue is no longer just political. It's about everyday survival for ordinary Nigerians. Political analysts believe the window for reform is narrowing, with mounting insecurity, unemployment, and a growing sense of disenfranchisement among the youth. The urgency for action is more critical than ever.
What any one of us can do at any point in time is to place proposals on the table for the consideration of the collective. The one thing that is not in short supply are good ideas. What has been in short supply is the humility by those who have ruined Nigeria to admit to the fact that they've run out of ideas.
wherever we find ourselves, let us be the best. Let us work as if we're doing our own things. Let us not lose hope. Nigeria will definitely be a better place.
We are not united. I mean, look, Igbos are different, Yorubas are different, Fulanis are different, Hausas are different. We should just agree to live as good neighbors.
As the 2027 elections approach, Nigerians are watching closely to see whether restructuring will finally move from campaign rhetoric to concrete policy. Restructuring is not about breaking Nigeria apart. It's about making it function even better for every citizen, regardless of tribe or region. In Lagos, for News Central, Israel Ifirobo.
And now to the security concern. A coalition led by Abdurrahman Abdullahi and Kabiru Yandaki has called on President Bola Tinubu, the National Security Advisor, Governor Diko Rada, and lawmakers to launch an urgent, transparent investigation following the growing public outcry on a viral video by retired military officer Major Ahmed Lawal Ibrahim, who raised serious allegations about military operations in the Ndume local government in Katsina State. The video, which has sparked alarm amid ongoing kidnappings and banditry, demands immediate scrutiny to restore public trust. The coalition urges an independent panel, public transparency, reforms if necessary, and protection for whistleblowers. With security under intense pressure, the group insists these allegations must not be ignored, warning of further erosion of confidence in the nation's defense institutions. Earlier, we were joined by our correspondent in Katsina State, Jamil Mabai. This is what he has to say.
First, he says that the Nigerian army, whenever one of the community members gets kidnapped when they're going to pay for ransom, they have to pay money to security agencies before they escort them to pay that money. And also, he made allegations that security personnel or the army usually escort or direct or back the bandits towards their farm, especially when it's harvesting time. So they just go to their farms and devour their farm produce. And thirdly, he made mention of at a point in time they arrested an informant and they handed him over to the military, and that informant said they caught him with ammunition, and he said the ammunition was given by him by one private Jeremiah from Birengwari, Kaduna, that he should take it to the bandits, and they caught him. So they handed him over to the captain in charge, Captain Rabiu, who's in charge of that axis. And after 11 days, the captain released the informant.
And now to agriculture. The Adamawa State River Basin Development Authority in Kano State says that it will optimize irrigation farming and increase the number of hectares of land being farmed in 2025 from 54,000 hectares of farmland to 240,000 hectares. The newly appointed managing director of the River Basin Authority, Rabi Bichi, while assuming office following his appointment by President Bola Tinubu, says that the authority will aim to increase paddy rice production from 216,000 metric tons to 1 million tons in the three states of Kano, Jigawa, and Bauchi. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
States of Kano, Jigawa, and Bauchi, the Adamawa River Basin Development Authority has sought to support farmers, especially with the effects of climate change, mainly drought in the northwest and some parts of northeastern part of the country. This has become more necessary following the ongoing repair of the Yola Dam in Bichi local government area of Kano State.
The use of Kano, Jigawa, and Bauchi, which is the primary area of the authority, are the future of our agricultural sector. By equipping them with knowledge and skills in modern irrigation, we are not only enhancing their employability, but also fostering innovation.
At this formal handover and assumption of office of the new head of the Adamawa River Basin Development Authority, Rabiu Bichi, the new chief executive outlined his roadmap to include improving water resource management by 20%.
What we are going to do now is to ensure that we increase the irrigable area to about 240,000 hectares in these areas of operation. It may take long, but we are going to start immediately. And secondly, we have a lot of water channels, rivers that have silted. We are going to intensify effort to desilt these rivers so that we can have smooth flow of water to the irrigable areas for farmers to easily access water for their farming purposes. That is both rainfed and irrigation. We are going to also train our youth. When I say youth, I mean youth, male and female, to embrace agriculture, modern agricultural practices. That is hydroponics, fodder cultivation, center pivot irrigation, drip irrigation, and every home a garden project.
While Kano, Jigawa, Bauchi states have been grappling with the challenges of drought, Bichi assured that the new management of the River Basin Development Authority will tackle this issue headlong. In Kano for New Central, Emmanuel Bagudu.
In a related development, as global food demand rises, experts say Nigeria must rethink how it funds agriculture and energy infrastructure. This was as policy experts, agriculture industry stakeholders with their energy sector counterparts converged on Abuja to deliberate on ways and means available to solve funding challenges in both sectors. Our correspondent, Joshua Marai, reports.
Production must rise by 50% by 2050 to meet population growth projections and food security needs. However, challenges like climate change, poor energy infrastructure, and inadequate agricultural financing are slowing progress. At this year's infrastructure dialogue, the spotlight was on financing sustainable energy and agriculture for economic growth. Stakeholders at the event say that despite various efforts by government to boost food production, results continue to fall short of targets.
The indications are that a lot of resources are committed to agriculture and its development, but we do not seem to be getting the desired results from these initiatives of government.
You listen to the man from Agri, he's talking about mechanized farming, this, that. How many tractor mechanics do we have in Nigeria that can fix tractors? But there are governors that are importing tractors. If we aggregate the importation so far made by the governor, it's enough to open a tractor assembly in Nigeria. Why?
To bridge this gap, experts at the event called for a shift from traditional funding models towards more inclusive and innovative approaches. They said there is a need for blended and digital finance, strong policy framework, and inclusive partnership to drive sustainable change in both the energy and agricultural sector.
So scaling these innovations could unlock billions in grassroots investment, empowering communities to build the infrastructure they need. Ladies and gentlemen, we must forge partnerships to achieve this. No single entity, be it government, a corporation, or an NGO, can tackle this challenge alone.
So realizing the funding gap and also knowing the challenges that we are facing within the public sector space definitely calls for us to shift away from that sole dependence on public funding for agriculture. Government cannot continue to fund agriculture.
As Nigeria and other developing nations work to bridge the food production gap, experts say sustainable financing will be key to unlocking long-term growth. In Abuja for New Central, I am Joshua Imanai.
Coming up on the news. In Sudan, activists accuse paramilitary forces of killing 56 persons within 2 days in Darfur. We will bring you more details about this and other stories in a short while. Do stay with us. Let's tell you that Gabon's junta chief, Brice Oligui Nguema, has officially won the presidential election with 90.35% of the vote, according to provisional results released by the Interior Ministry on Sunday. Oligui, who ousted the Bongo dynasty in an August 2023 coup, had vowed to restore democracy. Saturday's votes marked the country's first step away from military rule, with a 70.4% voter turnout. Calm returned to the streets of Libreville, a contrast to unrest seen during previous elections. Many citizens, like 58-year-old Olivina Mingombe, expressed hope for real change. Oligui's landslide victory now sets the stage for a 7-year term as Gabon seeks stability and a renewed path forward under civilian leadership.
À l'issue de la compilation de ces résultats, les données globales sont les suivantes. Inscrits 908 916, votants 636 606, bulletins blancs ou nuls 25 859, suffrages exprimés 610 747, soit un taux de participation de 70,4%. Alain Claude Bilebinze, 19 227, soit 3,02%. Oligui Nguema Brice Clotaire, 575 222 voix, soit 90,35%. Est élu à la majorité absolue des suffrages exprimés avec 575 222 voix, soit 90,35%. Monsieur Brice Clotaire Oligui Nguema, je vous remercie.
In a related development, but then in Côte d'Ivoire, former President Laurent Gbagbo has declared his determination to run in October's presidential election, despite being officially barred due to a past criminal conviction. Speaking at a packed rally in Abidjan, Gbagbo criticized the country's electoral commission, saying he can no longer accept an electoral commission that crawls. The former leader was convicted in 2018 for the alleged misappropriation of funds from the Central Bank of West African States during his presidency, a charge he denies. His candidacy remains uncertain as Ivorian law currently prevents those with criminal records from standing for office. Gbagbo, however, remains a major political force and is rallying the base ahead of what could become a highly contested election.
Aujourd'hui, nous sommes à une période où il y a l'élection présidentielle qui arrive dans 6 mois et en même temps où il y a la commission électorale indépendante qui boite.
Now, war-torn Darfur region has seen another deadly escalation. Activists on Sunday report that paramilitary forces from the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, killed 56 civilians in the town of Kadada over 2 days. The victims, allegedly targeted along ethnic lines, included the local hospital director. The RSF seized the town, located 180 kilometers east of El Fashar, just a day before the attacks. Communications have been cut and 14 residents remain missing. This comes as the RSF intensifies assaults on El Shafar, the army's last stronghold in North Darfur. The United Nations has also reported over 100 feared dead in nearby camps amid growing concerns of famine and mass displacement across the region. Outside of Africa, we tell you that Pope Francis on Palm Sunday delighted worshippers with an impromptu tour of St. Peter's Square against the advice of his doctors to avoid crowds while recovering from pneumonia. For the second Sunday in a row after the longest hospital stay of his papacy, the 88-year-old pontiff left his Vatican quarters, handing out sweets to children and shaking hands while doing the rounds of the Vatican landmark. While sat on his wheelchair, the Argentine appeared in rather good form without the nasal cannula, a plastic tube tucked into the nostrils used to help him breathe during his convalescence. Since his release from hospital, the Pope has ventured out on several occasions, despite his doctors urging him to rest, with his surprise visits appearing on no official Vatican program. At least 32 people, including 2 children, have been killed and 84 injured after Russian ballistic missiles struck the Ukrainian city of Sumy, according to authorities on Sunday. The twin Iskander missile attack hit near Sumy State University, damaging 20 buildings, including schools, shops, homes, and trams. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the strike as a terrible assault on ordinary life and called for stronger international pressure on Russia. The attack, which took place on Palm Sunday, drew global outrage. Ukraine's foreign minister called it absolute evil, while European leaders echoed calls for a ceasefire. The strikes followed U.S.-Russia talks in St. Petersburg, though Russia has continued to reject a ceasefire offer Ukraine accepted last month. We now go on our short break. When we return, we'll bring you sports stories. To stay with us. To May 18. Let's now join Favor Itwa for more updates.
And in sport, Olufemi Alabi claimed Nigeria's first gold medal at the ITTF World Para Future in Amman, Jordan, with a commanding performance in the men's Class 10 event. The Tokyo 2020 Paralympic bronze medalist defeated opponents from Iraq, India, and Indonesia. Fellow Paralympian Isao Ogunkole, Africa's only table tennis medalist at the Paris 2024, also impressed, advancing to the semi-finals in men's Class 4-5 after 2 3-0 wins. Nigeria's 8-player team is using the tournament to gain points ahead of the African Championship. Other standout performers include Bolawa Akungbe Misilu, Abiola Adeshope, and Tajuddin Agumbiade. In the women's event, Kate Oputa, Faith Obazwaye, and Kehinde Lawal reached the knockout stages. The competition ends Tuesday, the 15th of April. And out to basketball, Rivers Hoopers secured a convincing 79-59 victory over Stade Malien, marking their 4th Calgary Conference win. The team led by 13 points at halftime, followed by strong play from Abel Ofiano and Yubuchi Ifeanyi. Raphael Rashad topped the scoring with 15 points, while Madu Dakek added 14. Ofia contributed 9 points, including a deep 3, and Ifeanyi scored 7 off the bench. Michael Afuwapi was also impactful with 13 points. Balanced offense and solid defense carried the Hoopers to a dominant all-round performance in the Basketball Africa League clash. And out to football, Nigeria's Flying Eagles have been drawn in Group B alongside Morocco, Kenya, and Tunisia for the 24th Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations, set to hold in Egypt from the 27th of April to the 18th of May. The redraw followed Cote d'Ivoire's withdrawal as host, with Egypt taking over and leading Group A. Nigeria, 7-time champions, will face 2 North African opponents and East Africa's Kenya in the group stage. Senegal headline Group C with Central African Republic, DR Congo, and Ghana. All 4 semi-finalists in Egypt will qualify for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile, scheduled for the 27th of September to 19th of October. Still talking football, Heartland FC stunned Enugu Rangers 2-0 in the Oriental Derby on March 33 of the Nigeria Premier Football League. Suraju Lawa opened the scoring with a brilliant turn and finish, while Isaac Nasi doubled the lead after a deflected save. Elsewhere, Abia Warriors beat Rivers United 2-0 with Emmanuel Obuagu netting from a long-range free kick, and Anthony Ijoma added another from Isaac Afolabi's assist. Akwa United and El Kanemi Warriors shared spoils in a 1-1 draw in Uyo. Kano Pillars defeated Lobby Stars 2-0 thanks to Ahmed Musa's late strike and Nasir Awalu's goal in the 92nd minute. Nassau United beat Plateau United 3-1. Remo Stars were held at home to a goalless draw, while Sunshine Stars defeat Eyimba 2-1. And to wrap up sports updates, Carlos Alcaraz captured his first Monte Carlo Masters title on Sunday, defeating Italy's Lorenzo Musetti 3-6, 6-1, 6-love in a hard-fought final. The win marks the 6th Masters 1,000 crown for the 21-year-old Spaniard and his biggest title since Wimbledon 2023. After dropping the first set, Alcaraz rebounded with dominant play in the next 2, taking advantage of Musetti's leg issues in the final stretch. Musetti, who stunned top players Stefanos Tsitsipas and Alex de Minaur en route to his first Masters final, couldn't match Alcaraz's intensity. Alcaraz will now rise to world number 2, while Musetti climbs to number 11 as both players look ahead to the French Open next month. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favor Itwa.
That's all at this hour on the news, but then we look at our major stories before we go. Presidency says reports did not indict President Tinubu as U.S. court orders release of findings. Christians reenact Christ's triumphal entry as they celebrate Palm Sunday. We also told you that junta chief wins presidency according to provisional results in Gabon. To send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen, and you can follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. Don't forget to watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.